I'm Jono, a hyper-focused on the 2026 RetroArch and Batocera updates, so you don't have to. I wrote the script and Al is on the voiceover. Let's start the blueprint.
Every comparison video on these three treats them as competitors. They are not. One of them is an application. You install it on a computer you already own, and it runs alongside everything else. The other two are entire operating systems that take over the machine and boot directly into a gaming interface. And the part almost nobody explains properly is that both of those operating systems use the first one as their emulation engine underneath, the same cores running the same code, producing the same output. You are not choosing between three alternatives. You are choosing between an engine and two complete cars that both run on that same engine. One of those cars has not shipped an official image for the most popular current single-board computer, despite it being available for over 2 years. The other forked from a French project in 2016 and now supports more hardware than either alternative. Same engine, different vehicles, different ideas about who should be driving. RetroArch first released in 2010 and works on effectively everything. Windows going back 2 decades, Mac including hardware from the early 2000s, Linux, Android, both major mobile platforms, game consoles including several generations of hardware from multiple manufacturers. It is available as a regular application on the largest digital distribution platform for desktop gaming, which means automatic updates and cloud-save synchronization come free. The architecture uses a modular system where each supported console is a separate component called a core. Over 200 cores exist. Some consoles have 5 or more options with different performance and accuracy trade-offs. You choose which to install, configure each one individually, and manage everything through an interface modeled after a console menu system. The customization depth is unmatched, shaders that replicate the look of old display technology, a feature that calculates frames ahead of time to reduce input delay below what the original hardware achieved, rewinding gameplay in real time, network play across the internet, achievement tracking against a community database, every setting for every core accessible from a unified interface. The trade-off is that the interface is overwhelming. Hundreds of settings nested in menus that assume you already know what you are looking for. Beginners report spending 1 to 2 hours reaching their first playable session. The learning curve is steep enough that the 2 operating systems covered next exist largely because someone looked at this tool and decided to wrap it in something friendlier. It runs on your existing machine alongside your existing software. That is the fundamental distinction. You do not dedicate hardware to it. You do not replace your operating system. You install it the same way you would install a media player and use it when you want to. RetroPie launched in 2012 and was built specifically for one family of hardware. It installs on top of the standard operating system for those devices, which means you get a full Linux environment underneath the gaming interface. You can open a desktop, you can install a media center alongside your games, you can run a web server. The machine is not locked to a single purpose. The interface is a console-style library browser where systems scroll horizontally and selecting one shows you the games available for it. Artwork, descriptions, and metadata get pulled in through scraping tools. Over 50 visual themes exist. The setup process on supported hardware takes 20 to 30 minutes using a pre-built image, and the community around it is enormous. 160,000 members on one discussion platform alone, thousands of video tutorials, the most comprehensive documentation of any retro gaming project, and a forum culture that welcomes beginners. The approach to emulation is pragmatic rather than pure. Most systems run through the same engine as the standalone application, but where a dedicated emulator performs better for a specific console that gets offered as an alternative. You can choose per game which backend handles it. That flexibility is the philosophical core of the project. The problem visible to everyone in 2026 is that the most popular current single-board computer, available since late 2023, still has no official pre-built image. The software works on it through manual installation. Community guides exist, but the download page does not offer a one-click option, and for a project whose entire identity is built around that hardware family, the delay is hard to explain to someone choosing between options today. Development continues on the code repository, but the pace has slowed relative to alternatives. The team is small and volunteer-driven. The heritage that made it dominant on older hardware has become the weight slowing its response to newer models. Batocera forked from a French project called RetroBox in 2016 after disagreements about direction. It is a standalone operating system that takes over the machine entirely. No desktop environment underneath, no package manager. A read-only file system that prevents modification to the core system, which means it cannot be corrupted by a bad update or a power failure mid-write. You flash it to a card or a drive, boot the device, and the gaming interface appears. The hardware support is the broadest of any retro gaming operating system. Single-board computers, including official support for the latest models. Standard desktop and laptop hardware from the last 20 years, including machines running 32-bit processors that most modern software has abandoned. Handheld gaming devices from multiple manufacturers. The list of supported platforms is longer than either alternative by a significant margin. The plug-and-play experience is the defining feature. Controllers from the major console manufacturers are detected automatically. Default settings are pre-optimized for each supported platform. Boot time runs around 20 to 25 seconds to a playable interface. Time from opening the box to a running game is roughly 15 minutes. Everything configurable through the on-screen menus without touching a terminal. Achievement tracking and gameplay rewinding are enabled by default rather than buried in settings most users never find. The customization ceiling is lower than the alternative operating system. You cannot access the underlying Linux environment. You cannot install non-gaming software easily. The read-only file system limits what you can modify. The theme selection is smaller. The community is growing rapidly, with a particularly active presence on one real-time messaging platform, but it is still smaller than the established competition. Some documentation remains available only in French. The performance out of the box on demanding systems, the consoles from the late 90s that push single-board hardware to its limits, is consistently better than the alternative before manual tuning. The same emulator cores running the same code, but with default configurations that extract more from the hardware without intervention. If the device you want to play games on is a computer you already use for other things, the choice is already made. The standalone application runs on everything, gives you the deepest control, and does not require dedicating hardware. Install it alongside whatever else you run. The complexity is the cost of that universality. If you are dedicating hardware to gaming, and you want the fastest path from unboxing to playing, the fork that came out of that French project is the stronger option in 2026. Official images for the current hardware. Broadest device support, fastest boot, controllers that work immediately. Pre-optimized defaults that outperform the competition before anyone touches a configuration file. The trade-off is that the machine does one thing and the customization ceiling is lower. If you want a dedicated gaming machine that can also be a general-purpose computer, the project built around that specific hardware family remains the most flexible option. Full Linux underneath. Install anything alongside the games. Choose per game which emulator backend handles playback. The largest community, the best documentation, and a decade of accumulated knowledge. The trade-off is that the newest mainstream hardware still lacks an official image after more than 2 years. The setup takes longer, and the default configurations need manual work to match what the alternative delivers out of the box. All three use the same emulation cores, producing the same output from the same code. The games look identical. The performance ceiling is identical. What differs is how much work sits between you and the first time you press start.
Every choice is a trade-off. At least now you know what you're trading.